Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona here with Mike Beer, taking a look at the DRF Saturday race of the day, which is of course the 157th Belmont Stakes. And speaking of the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, we have our DRF packages that you want to check out at shop.drf.com for this Belmont Stakes. You can save up to 52% of the value on everything included in the 5-day package, which includes all access PPs for all 5 days of this Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, as well as clock reports from Mike Welsh and his team, betting strategies that Mike and I will be writing, and the player's guide. So make sure to check that out at shop.drf.com. This also being the Saturday race of the day, you can get free PPs for this race. Just check that out on the DRF website by creating a free account. Well, Mike, there's no Triple Crown on the line this year. We knew that pretty soon after the Kentucky Derby, but it still feels like there's a lot of enthusiasm around this Triple Crown series, and we're going to get the showdown that I think we were waiting for in this Belmont Stakes.
We got the rematch that we were all hoping for anyway, with Sovereignty and Journalism coming back to meet again here. We also don't want to give a short shrift to Baeza, who ran a very good race in the Derby as well. So you got those three horses, they sort of lead the pack, but this is just, it's not a big field, David, but it's a good field.
It is a really good field, and we talked about it after the Kentucky Derby. The Derby result, it was a satisfying result, but it didn't necessarily settle who's the best three-year-old out there, so we're going to get that answer hopefully on Saturday. Let's check out the Timeform US pace projector for this race to see how this field might play out heading into the first turn and through the first half mile of this race, Mike. And it feels like there are two speeds in here, the number 3 Rodriguez and the number 5 Crudo. Crudo is shown ahead of Rodriguez on this unusual sort of single file pace projector. I think though, with Rodriguez drawing inside of that foe, their hand is going to be forced to send.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, this pace projector sort of lines up like a half-mile harness race there. Everybody just going single file there to the half. We'll see how it all plays out in this race. I sort of agree with you. I think Rodriguez, post 3, is on a mission in this race. He's cutting the pace. We'll see how far he can take him.
Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1 to Hill Road. We kind of know where he's going to be early in the race. He likes to drop right to the back of the pack. He's going to hope that some pace does develop because he really needs that to produce his best effort. We'll take a look at his Peter Pan victory last time out, where he got more pace than he had at his first couple of U.S. starts in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and Tampa Bay Derby, which were run at a crawl in the early stages. And he unleashed a big late kick in this Peter Pan, despite the fact that, like in his other races, he never changes leads, doesn't seem to bother him. He's got to step up and run a faster race, Mike, but he does feel like the kind of horse that's improving coming into this Belmont.
I agree with that. I mean, his first 2 starts over here were both actually pretty good, even though he didn't, have any kind of a setup either time. He showed that he can handle the dirt, and he showed that he can go with some really good horses. He got the right setup in the Peter Pan. It was a way weaker field, but he came running into a contested pace that day. You just get the feeling, David, that he'll go all day. The distance is no issue for this horse, and there's a real chance in here that he gets another setup. I'm not sure that he's good enough, but he'll be running at the end of this race.
Up next is Kentucky Derby winner Sovereignty, who, as we said earlier, they announced soon after this Derby victory that he was not going to contest the Preakness. They wanted to point to this 10-furlong Belmont. I think that makes the Belmont a much more appealing option for a lot of contenders coming into this race. And Mike, he got the job done in the Derby. The pace really worked out for him. So did the trip. Junior Alvarado was able to sort of keep him out of traffic every step of the way, followed Journalism into the race, and he was able to pass that foe in the late stages, which is not easy to do given how strong of a finisher Journalism is. The question here is, will Sovereignty be as effective if he doesn't get that same setup? Yeah,
we'll see. I feel like, though, David, he's supposed to get a pretty good setup again in this race. I mean, I'd be kind of surprised if they went really slow early in this race. I guess we'll see how it all plays out. Either way, yes, he had a really clean trip in the Derby, one that you can't always count on, and everything really worked well for him. He was obviously really set to peak that day, too, it seems. So he had a lot of things go his way in the Derby. I still don't think it's that much of a surprise that he won that race. He's been a good horse from day one. He came running. He got by Journalism at the end of that race. And to me, he's going to be really tough right back here on 5 weeks rest.
Yeah, he trained great into the Derby. Appears to be training great again. He outworked last year's Whitney winner Arthur's Ride at the Oklahoma the other day. So expecting another good effort from Sovereignty. The number 3 is Rodriguez, and we're finally going to get to see him in a Triple Crown event because he was entered in the Derby, had to be scratched from that race due to a foot bruise. The same foot bruise kept him out of the Preakness. They didn't even enter in that race, but they're finally going to get to run him in this Belmont Stakes. It seems like that foot bruise is all since cleared up. That 7 furlong workout workout that he put in on May 23rd would certainly suggest that. Strong 7 furlong work from Bob Baffert usually says that his horses are ready to run. We'll take a look at Rodriguez's crowning achievement when he won the Wood Memorial last time out. Mike, it feels like a lot's happened ever since this race was run. Horses have run back. Both Triple Crown races have been run. But this was a good effort, a triple-digit buyer, the second of his career. So he fits with this field. It's just a matter of what we're going to get from him off the layoff.
Yeah, exactly. He's had some issues, and you never like that coming into a major race like this, especially against the 3 horses that he's going to have to run against. I mean, it's not that hard to make a case for this horse on paper, David. When he gets to the lead, he's obviously really, really good. He's got a couple of figures that put him right in the mix here, just about with the major players in this race, and it does feel like he's going to make the lead again in this race. So maybe that's all it will take. I still have my reservations about the Wood Memorial. I'm not going to knock the performance that he put in that day. I still think it was a really weak field overall, and that's obviously not going to be the case on Saturday. I'm just not sure that he's good enough to beat this field, David, but I know that he's the one to catch.
I will say, Hill Road's Peter Pan arguably flattered the Wood because some horses came out of that race to really improve their buyers in the next start. We'll see if that matters for Rodriguez. Mike, can we make any sort of case for the long shot number 4, Uncaged, or is this just owner Mike Rapoli having a little bit of FOMO in this Belmont Stakes?
Yeah, I don't see why they would have thought to enter him here, particularly after the Peter Pan. I mean, his 2 races on wet tracks are both pretty good. I'll be honest. I thought his win when they finally stretched him out 2 back was good because he had some trouble and he came running, and it felt like maybe more distance would help him. They tried him in the Peter Pan. He could never keep up in that race, David. He was terrible in there. There's no way he wins this race.
The number 5, Crudo, is the other Todd Pletcher trainee in this race with a totally different running style to Uncaged. He's going to be going forward from the start. We'll see how much pressure he applies to Rodriguez, but we'll take a look at his most recent victory in the Sir Barton on Preakness Day, which gave his connections the confidence to pursue this Triple Crown race. And Mike, he wins this impressively. I know this was a horse that you liked a lot heading into that race. I doubted his ability a little bit, but he was able to beat this field resoundingly. He is just stepping up against way tougher company here.
Yeah, and he, is as good as he looked winning the Sir Barton. It was a very facile win for him. Still didn't come back a very fast race here. He's just got to improve by leaps and bounds, and he's going to have to do it probably while being denied the lead this time by Rodriguez. I mean, it just feels like, I do think this horse is pretty talented. There's so much working against him in here that he's just, to me, it's just really hard to like him.
Up next is the Kentucky Derby 3rd place finisher, Baeza. And Mike, I think the best thing about this horse is that he seems to be learning and improving with each successive race. I doubted he was going to be able to step up against journalism in the Santa Anita Derby. He gave that horse all that he could handle, not with the easiest trip that day, and then came back in the Kentucky Derby. And I wonder what you make of his trip, because he did have that spot of trouble at the quarter pole, but other things did go right for him in the Derby.
Yeah, listen, I don't think you would watch that replay back and say he had some kind of terrible trip in there and he was unlucky. That being said, I mean, when you go back, and it's hard to see because you don't get great camera angles and there's a lot of horses all surrounded there, but Pratt kind of made the decision there around that final turn to sort of try to save a little bit of ground while Sovereignty and Journalism both stayed out in the clear. And you could see him get between horses. He took a little bit of a bump there. The other 2 horses got the jump on this horse, and then he came running again at the end. I mean, he's been green from the start, but it just feels like he gets better every time they send him out there. This is a trainer who can get horses to show up on big days like this. This horse is really talented, David, and I'm not so sure that he's not going to be able to close that gap on the 1-2 finishes from the Derby.
Yeah, Pratt is such a thoughtful jockey, and he had to kind of lose some ground on the first turn from the 19 post. And it felt like he had that in mind and wanted to save a little ground on the far turn. And I agree, when you watch that drone shot, you see how much momentum he loses in that spot of trouble at the quarter pole. We'll see if he's able to make up the ground on the top 2 in this Belmont. The number 7 is Journalism. He was the Kentucky Derby runner-up, beaten favorite in that race, but came roaring back to win the Preakness 2 weeks later. And we'll take a look at the replay of this stretch run. And Mike, it doesn't get old watching this Preakness stretch replay because he had so much trouble at the quarter pole, and not just the fact that he was able to regain his stride, but the fact that he was able to bowl through traffic when most horses would have steadied out of that spot just really speaks to this horse's bravery. And if he is able to stand up to this rigorous schedule, he's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's been a good horse, just like Sovereignty. He's been a good horse right from the start. There are no bad races on his card. Even though he didn't win the Derby, he ran great that day. I thought he lost nothing in defeat. The Preakness is, I mean, it speaks for itself. Everybody's already seen the replay. We don't need to talk about it anymore. It's a remarkable win. I mean, I do think it's only fair to point out that that was a super weak Preakness, but I'm not taking anything away from Journalism. I mean, this horse, he's really, really good, and I'm just expecting another really good performance.
Rounding out the field is the long shot Heart of Honor. He's another horse exiting the Preakness, but he was no match for journalism that day. Was just never really a factor, a little slow away from the great gate. His connections have since announced that they're going to do some gate schooling to try to get him to break a little bit more alertly in here and not disengage in the middle portions of the race, Mike. He would just have to improve by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, he's just not good enough to go with these horses. You know what's going to happen with this horse early. He'll be outrun, and I guess you just sort of hope that, or at least his connections will hope that Rodriguez goes really fast. Maybe Crudo goes with him. This horse will sit back, and maybe he can pick up some tired horses late and pick up 4th or 5th.
Well, Mike, I'm 0 for 2 so far trying to pick the winners of these Triple Crown races. I think you're 2 for 2 trying to go for a sweep with all 3 of the picks. Who'd you go for in this Belmont Stakes?
Different horse this time. I like Sovereignty the first time. Journalism was an easy one last time. I'm going to try Baeza this time, David. I think we already both talked about his trip there in the Derby. This horse, I think he's good. He's getting better. Or probably the 3rd choice in this race. I'll take a shot.
Well, that's good news for me because I like Baeza too for all the reasons that you mentioned. Feels like he might be the one that's able to take that step forward of those 3 coming out of the Kentucky Derby. But even beyond betting this race, Mike, I'm just really looking forward to seeing how this plays out as a fan.
Me too. I'm way more interested in watching it than I am betting it.
Everybody, good luck with your wagers on Belmont Stakes Racing Festival this weekend.